Hello, everybody. Welcome to the August Patreon Hangout at long last. It's been a bit of a ride. We're still not technically like 100.0% out of it, but we are. Wow, this shot looks really bizarre right now. Something about it looks very off. Aside from being just kind of grainy, it also just like, does it look like weirdly washed out in the background? That's odd. There's a thing right here that is glaring weirdly, like it's like the exact correct angle to just shine directly into the camera. Yeah, so our internet that's also so it's the other issue that I have with this camera is that it takes matters into its own hands when it comes to color correction. So it's decided that that's the color that's supposed to be. So, needless to say, I'm probably going to be in the market for a new webcam yet again at some point in the near future. In the new future too. It's a new day. Yeah. So the biggest news for the channel and everything is that our internet is fucking fixed, like 99.75%. Every once in a while, maybe once per day, it's only been 2 days, once today and yesterday, the internet's dropped out for like a minute, and that's been it. Like, it's come back, and it's been strong and all of that, so hopefully that is not going to be a serious issue. We've already been able to test this in a couple ways. I've been uploading a bunch of stuff, and it's been very speedy, very quick there. CJ was here today. We did some Resident Evil 4, and the video is actually comprehensible. You can actually see what's going on in the game to the point where it looks like the first, let's see, what was the one that we started with today? So the first 45 episodes of this game all have bizarre and crunchy looking video. I guess this next batch that's going up first, because we have two sets that are now going up. We had one set that hasn't had any videos go up yet, and then we recorded more today. The stuff we recorded last time, it was still having framey issues, but any frames we got were like crystal clear, like weirdly high quality, but then it would still drop frames. Now, it looks great. It looks great all the way across the board. It did have a couple, like, if any, like, entire screen changes happened very quickly, then it had a little bit of struggle, but otherwise it was, like, really, really, really good. So, hopefully that means that the internet problems are solved. I mean, we should be able to see. I haven't dropped any frames yet for this tonight compared with the last handful of times I tried to stream. Like, the vast majority of frames were dropping, and eventually I just gave up on streaming for a little bit while that was a problem. The other day, before the tech came in, I did it. Actually, no, sorry. After the tech came in, I did a test of I had like a side channel for like doing test streams, and I did one for about 20 minutes, and it dropped out for like a minute and a half. Somewhere in the middle, I walked away for a minute and came back. But otherwise, wasn't dropping anything. We're not dropping anything now. Hopefully this means we're all good. Arguably better, perhaps, than the streaming quality has been in the past. I mean, we had, the Mario Wario-thon was back at the start of the year, like literally I think the first week of 2022, and that one was having tons of problems. So hopefully this will be good, and this will be it. So I'm going to be getting back to streaming on Tuesday of this week. I'm going to be doing N64 games from Kirby. We got Super Smash Brothers and Kirby 64. Going to do some stuff with those. Thursday, I think Thursday of this week, I will still keep going on it. Next week, next Thursday, there's a decent chance that I'm going to have a different stream going on, but we will see. Something is stuck in like the back of my throat and it's driving me nuts. I was like, we'll see. Dealing with a backed up drain this weekend. Oh god, those suck. We've had issues with those now and then. Those are not good. It's bad enough when they're just like super duper clogged, and I've definitely had to be the one to go in and unclog it and be like, oh, this is all gnarly stuff that's going on in there. Once it starts backing up, that's like an entirely new nightmare. Just the smell alone is like a fucking horror show. But I'm glad that you got it dealt with very quickly. Because yeah, that gets old real quick when you got essentially literal sewage now kind of just hanging around the whole time. It's still back there. It's going to drive me nuts. We'll see. But yeah, so it's been a busy weekend. We recorded a lot of stuff, only in a few areas. It's going to be kind of a light week in terms of videos. Just because, so Wonder Boy is wrapping up, and we got like really far ahead in a couple specific things. But I think with next weekend's recording in there, we'll have a much broader schedule going on. I'm kind of editing a bunch of stuff ahead of time to try to make it a little easier to keep that going. Obviously, I have a new job, so I don't have the same kind of time during the week that I used to. So I want to be able to, pre-edit as much as I can to be able to, alleviate some of that, so I can have some of my weeknights back. But I may as well kind of dive in here to see. We've got some stuff that'll be coming up by the next time. Before the next time we have a hangout, there'll be some new and neat sort of stuff going on that we can chat about. This one, so I'm trying to think, I just looking back on the last month, the only thing that I can really think of is one, we had the Wondrous Let's Play. The vast majority of it took place in August, and it seemed like people had a pretty good time with it. I had a great time with it. I love, at least, I was going to say I love those games. I love the last two of those games that we did. Wonder Boy and Monster World is one of my absolute favorite games. Definitely one of my favorites on the Genesis, especially outside of the Sonic franchise. I'm even trying to think of what other games would I even rank near the top of games of I guess I'd say Dynamite Headdy and Gunstar Heroes are near the top for me on the Genesis outside of Sonic. Geez, what else? I usually don't rank sports games in there, but was it NHL 94 for the Genesis is pretty rad too. A lot better than the Steve Together for. I mean, I think it's a solid game. I do actually really like it. I think my biggest thing with that is Wonder Boy Monster World has a more, and I mentioned this I think in the review. It's got a stronger emphasis on combat, and it's a little bit more deliberately paced as compared to Monster World 4, which is a lot more dynamic, which can be a lot of fun, but it does mean that the combat gets a little bit looser, I guess, is maybe the way to put it. I also kind of miss both the explorability factor. Once you leave an area and once you beat an area in Monster World 4, you can't go back. So it's a very linear progression one. And similarly, the weapons, all of your weapons are one weapon. They have different abilities, but they all act the same. They're the same length. They're all the same type of sword. They're all that kind of. I was gonna say cutlass. I don't know if cutlass is quite the right word. There's a name for that kind of a curved sort of blade, but so there was a remake of it, Asha in Monster World. I don't know. I've never played it myself. My understanding is it's similar to the Dragon's Trap. It's primarily a graphical upgrade, but I don't know. Oh, a scimitar. Yeah, that makes sense. That definitely makes sense. But I have not played Wonder Boy, Asha, and Monster World, so I do not know. I haven't played Wonder Boy Returns either, which is a remake of the original game. There's Wonder Boy Returns, which I think is mostly just a sort of a remake with the same kind of mechanics. I don't know if it's literally a paint job like Dragon's Trap was, but then there's Wonder Boy Returns Remix for the Switch. Maybe a couple others where they add stuff you can charge your attack to throw a bunch of axes, and there's different power-ups, and there's different bosses. There's a bunch of new bosses. But yeah, that's the thing. So because your Pepe logo is growing irreversibly, some of the areas don't make as much sense. Going back the way that they coded them, I think they could have made it work. There's no reason that a larger Pepe logo would not be able to block fire or plug up a geyser or anything like that, or blow out torches. I think it would just be a matter of you make some new sprites and you go for it. I think the biggest thing is that there's I don't want to say that there's less explorability, because I think Monster World and Monster World 4 have very similar levels of explorability. I think the biggest problem in terms of exploring and not needing to like retread old ground is that Monster World 4 has a tendency to throw you in. It tends to bottleneck you into like linear paths. So like for example, in the underwater temple, I forget what it was called, the like whatever it was, the second one that takes place underwater. There's a lot of points where you'll be at the top of a tall, like you'll be walking, there'll be a drop down, and the drop will be far enough that you can't get back to the top anymore. And the only way you can re-explore there is to use the genie to go back to Rapadagna City and then go back through that all again, which can be kind of a bummer when there's a missable collectible item that's there in the form of the life drops. Like missing life drops kind of blows, because then you're like, oh, now I'm like out a heart for the end of the game and I can't go back and get it. But go on the maps to handle having. Yeah, honestly, that's definitely like the big thing. And it's funny because I mention. I don't know if I mentioned it yet in videos that have gone up. I know I mentioned it before the end of Monster World 4, but I had a distinct memory prior to doing it for this series. I had a distinct memory of being able to, I had a distinct memory of bouncing on Pepe Logu, like not just hanging on and then double jumping, but like bouncing on him, and that obviously didn't happen. But I also had a memory of there being paths that you couldn't go down with Pepe Logu because he was too big, but that also is not a thing. In my brain, maybe I'm mixing it up with Dragon's Trap a little bit, where the idea is that in Dragon's Trap, you can ultimately go everywhere, but certain forms don't have an easy way, like don't have a real means of getting into certain areas, just because of their size or their abilities. Like the mouse can climb up walls, the hawk can fly, stuff like that. The fishman that can swim, and some of the others that can't. Getting all 150 life drops is also the only way to buy the best equipment in the game. I'm not sure about that, unless there's a bonus one. I believe we do get the best equipment by the end of this run. I would have to double check. I wasn't paying super close attention. I know that I'm trying to remember if I got the best. I think I got the best equipment because it's sword, shield, and armor, and I think I got them all. I would have to double check. Then you get the ability to change forms freely. Yeah, and then that's the point where that kind of loses that element to it when you can just start freely changing, and then it's like, oh, okay, it's more of just a minor like think about it and then get it done. I don't think Monster World 4 is bad by any means. I like it a lot. I don't know where I'd rank it among my favorites. I definitely have bias. Like I owned Wonder Boy and Monster World as a kid. I didn't own Monster World 4. So like I obviously don't have quite the same like attachment to it as I did the other one. I find it very interesting that so much of Monster World 4 is brand new, but not some of the sound effects. Like a handful of very specific sound effects are taken directly from Wonder Boy and Monster World unchanged. Door opening sound effects are the same one. The sound of doing damage to an enemy is the same. The sound of money being dropped is exactly the same. They're like as like a coin flies up out of an enemy or a chest. I thought there was also an explosion sound effect that was very similar to one that got used in Wonder Boy and Monster World, but I don't remember on that one. There's also a familiar piece of music that will be getting seen right near the end of the series. But yeah, I think that was it was a neat touch. Honestly, outside of like Mario and Sonic and stuff like that, I feel like we don't ever really get that in classic games where they're literally reusing sound effects from older games like that. So I thought that was kind of cool. Let's see. Dragon's Trap is such a cool idea. Cursed Kingdom keeps that up, right? I believe Cursed Kingdom is first and foremost inspired by Dragon's Trap, but with a lot of elements from like Monster World and Monster World 4 as well. You literally start as the pig. That's hilarious. I haven't played that one. I really do have to give that one a go. I know that there's a handful of direct references to the four heroes from this series. Not giving any real love to I guess Dragon's Trap is still book, and the most interesting one to me is Monster Lair, where the heroes, so the main hero is a guy named Leo, and if you have a second player, they play as Purapril, and the implication is that they are the ancestor of Queen Purapril from both Wonder Boy and Monster World and Monster World 4. So I think that, or each of them, they're not the same princess slash queen. They are themselves also ancestors of one another. But I thought that was kind of neat. But yeah, I think it's been a lot of fun. I think down the line, I may take a look at the, at the other Wonder Boy games, particularly Monster Lair and Monster Boy and the Cursed Kingdom. I may do Dragons. I may do the classic Dragon's Trap too. Who knows? I keep saying Dragon's Trap. Is Dragon's Curse? No, it's Dragon's Trap. I forget. I think it's been called both. I think it has both of those titles in various regions and re-releases. But I say Dragon's Trap, and my brain goes to Dragon's Trap. There are two games, an NES one that is notoriously difficult. I've only gotten a few screens into that one myself. And an arcade, I guess it's strictly speaking like a Laserdisc game. But it made the rounds in arcades, and it was one of those ones where it's kind of there's a specific name for it, but like you're watching a cartoon, and at various points you'll get prompts to do QuickTime events, and if you do it right, you survive, and if you don't, you die, and it's got to start over. So you essentially have to have insane reaction speed, or you have to memorize essentially 20 minutes of inputs and when to do them. So yeah. And yeah, I had seen that Pepe Logu shows up in Cursed Kingdom as well, so that's pretty cool. I'm very curious. The biggest mystery to me right now is who actually owns the rights to the Wonder Boy and Monster World franchise. I think Sega owns a bunch of the rights, but I don't know who conclusively owns all of the rights at this point. Because part of the reason for Super Adventure Island existing in the first place was that Escape, later Westone Entertainment or Westone Bit Entertainment, sold a bunch of the rights to they essentially sold the copy, like the character and world copyrights to Sega, which is why they were able to put out a direct port with a new name and new sprites through, I think, Hudson Soft onto the NES as Super Adventure Island. But to my knowledge, I think Westone Bit doesn't exist anymore. Hudson Soft, I don't think exists anymore. The repackaged Wonder Boy collection was done by Innis, however that's pronounced, but I don't think they actually own the rights to it, strictly speaking, and I don't think Blissbrain does either. And it's just kind of like, I don't know. Yeah, and then there's also Adventure Island, and then there's also an Adventure Island game that is itself literally a port of a different Wonder Boy game. It gets really bad. I think there's a mobile entry in the Adventure Island series that is itself a port of a different Wonder Boy game. I think I looked this up at one point, and it's like amazing how weirdly interwoven that stuff gets. But the question is, it's like, all right, so I don't know what the deal with the rights actually is. Adventure Island seems similar to Wonder Boy the first. Yeah, they are the same game. They are literally the same game. What's interesting is Wonder Boy immediately tried out different formulas the second they had the first game out. Wonder Boy Monsterland is like a super different take on it. Way more sword and sorcery. They have the timer, and they do like a linear stage progression, but that's about it. Whereas Adventure Island stuck with that old school Wonder Boy style for like a long ass time. But yeah, it's not even a ripoff. They are the same game with different licensing. The big thing being Hudson Soft wanted to put one on the NES, and because Sega owned the rights to the characters, essentially they were told by Escape/Westone, like, okay, you can port this to the NES, but you cannot use characters owned by Sega, or they're going to get real mad. Don't do that. So yeah, interesting history there. But yeah, so like this coming week is actually going to be the end of the Wondrous Let's Play. Against all odds, and all the videos have been uploaded, so they'll go up on time. Against all odds, we actually got the entire series up. I think we got a video up Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of every week, the whole time. Started and ended on time. Honestly, kind of amazing that that one went completely without a hitch. I think that went really well. It does make it easier when it's all pre-recorded ahead of time. It makes it very easy when it's just one audio track to have to worry about. Obviously, the commentary is not quite as good or as funny as it would have been if we had more people for it. But also, I spent 16 hours playing those 4 games, and that's a hell of a lot of a lift to figure out with multiple people. So, but yeah, so I think it went pretty well. I actually have another review that's going to be coming out fairly soon. I need to still get it done, but I think that'll be kind of fun when that one comes out. Just in the realm of the Wonder Boy collection was actually my first video game review, I think. I don't recall if I've ever done a formal review of a video game prior to that. I've done a handful of, here's a review code, play it, and, verbalize my thoughts, but I don't think I've done any, like, formal, style reviews before that. So I think it went pretty well. I think it was good. It was good to be able to have my first one be from a series that I have familiarity with. It gave me some perspective on some of those things. And it also gave me some thoughts internally on, like, what to do, what not to do going forward. Because, like, Wonder Boy and Wonder Boy Monster Land, it was very easy to write those reviews because it's extremely easy to criticize a game that you feel has been put together poorly or has bad things about them. I think that it's real easy to write comedy about a thing that you think is bad. When it came to Wonder Boy and Monster World and Monster World 4, that one sort of those ones were a lot more difficult because I started to notice, and even in the final product, it was still there. I started to notice that I was kind of doing a play-by-play of the game, which, like, that's not really how a review's supposed to work. Both one, because, as far as, like, copyright protection, fair use, and all that stuff, one of the big tenets of that is that when it comes to fair use of material, the thing that you're producing needs to not be a substitute for someone, experiencing that media themselves. Like, part of the reason to go real weird on an example, part of the reason that Channel Awesome and the Nostalgia Critic started doing so many sort of recreations, I guess you could say, in those reviews. I haven't watched him in years at this point, but when I have poked my head in just to see what is even going on, there's a lot more, like, less skit and more recreations with, stuff going on there. But the reason for that being the way that they used to do it was what I usually consider as, like, kind of the standard kind of way of doing a review is you talk about it, you have stuff that went well, stuff that didn't go well, video clips to support your arguments or to, help make the jokes, any comedic edits and cuts, things like that. But the problem is, if ultimately you're giving people a play-by-play of the whole movie, then that's copyright infringement because you are, in essence, replacing someone's experience of watching the movie by having them watch you talk about the movie and deliver them the entire plot of it. It's not, like, super cut and dry, but that's kind of the general premise. Whereas for fair use, the idea is that it's sort of an accessory to that. It's an addendum that you can also check out, but it's not making it so that, oh, well, I don't need to watch the movie. I just saw this review. I'm good. I don't need anything else. That's the thing I'm kind of trying to make sure to avoid with video game reviews is, like, if I just do a beat by beat of Wonder Boy and Monster World, that's both not as interesting as it could be if I had more, like, cogent things to say about it, and B, it just kind of it does wind up just being, why listen to a review that is someone walking through the steps of the game rather than just play it yourself, or why then, once you've heard someone do that, play the game yourself. So that's kind of the thing that is still a bit of a struggle for me. I have that same struggle with R-rated, which I am working on getting back on its feet. I've been kind of scheduling things out, planning some times to watch and review things. I might review a handful of things ahead of time, and then upload them. Once they're a little bit cleaned up, once they're done, and also maybe upload them a couple days ahead of going live, just because they tend to take a lot longer to process for some reason on YouTube. So being able to have them go up and already be clean would be very, very nice. So yeah, that was a really long, drawn-out tangent on reviews in general. I would like to do more reviews. Like I mentioned, I have another review code that I'm working on right now. I have another one that I was looking at for, I don't know, later on in the fall maybe. And we'll see. I get emails all the time Not like specifically like, hey, Rick, you and your channel would be especially like it's from like a list. There, I'm on a couple of like game review code kind of list things. So we'll see. We'll see how those go. I want to make sure that I deliver something good, though. I don't want to just like, get a review code and then talk about it for 5 minutes and be done. I want to make sure that it's actually like a good review. Anywho, as for the actual videos that have been going up, like I mentioned before, August was kind of hellish because of the internet, but I'll be returning to Twitch. I was gonna say tomorrow. My brain's kind of stuck on. Right, it's a long weekend, and also, it's Sunday, so tomorrow is the first work day, and it's like, no, not this time. Tomorrow's Monday, but it's Labor Day, so it's off. But I'll be back to streaming on Tuesday, N64, Kirby games, and then I want to say, is it like immediately after that? Oh no, let me double check this real quick. I have my list. Yeah, once I'm done with the N64 stuff, we're diving into Kirby's Tilt and Tumble. And that's going to be an interesting ride. I think that one's actually not going to be as bad as it seems like it'll be. I'm not saying it's going to be like super short. I think it's going to be like reasonable. I think it's going to be difficult, but not impossible. Not long after that, though, we're going to get into Kirby Air Ride, and that one's going to be difficult. And I'm sure there'll be lots of folks offering up some advice in the streams to assist on those. After the original Let's Play and all of that, but we'll do the best we can with it. I know that there's some of those that are geared towards multiplayer things going on. Depending on how some of that stuff is set up, I may enlist in a pinch hitter to come and assist on some of that too. Yeah, that's the thing, right? Like we have done it through. I believe we did it through the actual, Wii and all of that stuff. I don't know if we have any, connectors or things that make those things work. I think it's more of, a Dolphin thing. But regardless, we'll figure it out. We'll get there. And I'm always up for a good challenge. So we'll see how that goes. Let's see. Oh, Mega Man. We got new Mega Man stuff coming out tomorrow. I actually still have to record a little bit of the intro for the next set. By the time this video gets seen by most folks, it'll already be out. So the next series that we're doing is Marvel vs. Capcom 3, specifically Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. We for a while couldn't get the PS3 functioning, or rather, it wasn't connecting properly because of the HD copy protection. We did eventually get it working because we actually recorded some stuff for 5 series from now, just because it happened to also be something that needed the PS3. But so Ultimate MVC3. Let's see. Don't forget. I think literally Top Ride requires it, but some stuff is easier. There's definitely gonna be some stuff that'll be easier if I just plug in somebody or plug in a controller and have the bottom do nothing. And yes, if I get a couple good reviews out there, who knows, that might start attracting some attention for reviews. That'd be really cool. I'm always down for reviewing stuff. I think not like I'm a big enough name to be able to throw my weight in any real way, but my sticking point for any review stuff would always be that it's like, all right, I will do a review. I'm not going to go easy on it if it's not good. I'll do a review though. I'm not going to lick anyone's butthole because they're sending me a free copy of their game. It'll be honest, but it'll be, signal boosted, so to speak. Yeah, I'll be very curious. I know only a little bit about Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. I know there's an actual story mode. I know about Sigma Ultron, which is them getting that name wrong 2 ways at once, because Ultron is usually Ultron blank, oftentimes a Greek letter, and Sigma is usually blank Sigma in all of his various forms. So the obvious choice would be Ultron Sigma, and they went with Sigma Ultron. And it's like, you messed it up, guys. You fucking messed it up. But yeah, MVC3 is coming up next. We're going to... After we finished the last chapter of Mega Man 8-Bit Deathmatch, I was 50-50 on how to handle what was left of it. And I believe what we're going to be doing is, rather than just keeping on plowing through it the whole way through, We're going to play each of the remaining chapters of that game, essentially in the overall release timeline when they got released. So version 2 came out fairly quickly after version 1, but then there starts to be larger gaps in between chapters. So version 2 will be coming back around soon. I forget if that's chapter 7 and 8 or just chapter 7. So you'll be periodically seeing more 8-bit deathmatch content as we go forward. I almost did the same with Ultimate MVC3 because the first half we've already recorded the entirety of it. The first half of what we recorded was, strictly speaking, the main like arcade mode from Marvel vs. Capcom 3, and the second half was us tackling the Heralds and Heroes mode, or Heroes and Heralds, of Ultimate MVC3. Like, it was a new thing for that, and I was originally going to just separate them because there's stuff that happened between those two releases, but because we recorded it all in Ultimate MVC, it's just like, let's just put it all at one. If the PS3 was working and we were able to get, because I have a physical copy of Marvel vs. Capcom 3, if we got that working, then that's how we would have done it. We would have done Marvel vs. Capcom 3, a couple other things, and then come back for Ultimate MVC 3 where we do like some of those modes, but instead it's all getting condensed down into one. But we'll see. I'm excited to see Dr. Light and X and Zero and MVC Infinite. That'll be fun. There's also going to be some video essays coming out in the near future for the Mega Let's Play post game. There's going to be some interesting stuff. I have a little bit of extra homework I have to do, both in terms of research, but also in terms of like trying to get my hands on some things that will make life easier and make the reviews, and not so much reviews, the videos more interesting if I can. We will see. We will see how that goes. Let's see. Also, in the realm of Mega Man, Jeff and I recorded legit 10 episodes, 5 weeks of Mega Man Star Force 2. We're not done with it yet, but we are now very, very close. We have now completed the plot portion of the post game, and all that's left now is some cleanup. God willing, we will get it done, with a relative amount of quickness. I think we have 8 bosses we have to clear in terms of cards that are left. That was very which one was cryptic? Oh no, the video essays bit. We will, yeah, that one I can leave kind of cryptic. That's gonna stay cryptic for a little bit. You'll know what I mean when we get there. But we'll see. We'll see. Yeah. Yeah, Apollo Flame was interesting. Doubly so because he hasn't. So at first I was like, oh, he's got these rings of fire. Obviously that's going to be some kind of shield. And the question was, is it a shield like Rogue, where all you got to do is go ping and the shield is down until he brings it back up? Or is it a shield like Hollow, where it's just up until it's not visible? And the answer is neither. It's literally the same as like an aura shield, where essentially you have to do enough damage to it to break it down, and then he will bring it up later. So that was interesting. I'm not looking forward to fighting his SP form, especially because, and I know they did this on purpose, there's no Aqua tribe. There's a fire tribe, an electric tribe, and a wood tribe. So they made sure that the super boss of the game has an element that has no weaknesses of the tribes. So it's like, clever. I see what you did there. Okay. And I think, is Taurus Fire the only other fire type boss in the whole game? He might be. Interesting, the added bonus in the normal tribes, but yeah, there's a good chance that Tribe King is going to come up for the very, very last of stuff. It still hasn't been a thing that comes up. The one thing that I was kind of curious about was like, I was aware of Tribe King. My big thing was like, does Tribe King actually exist within the game in an obtainable way, or is it something that you just have to happen to know to command card in or command wave in? I was kind of hoping it'd be something like, oh, you beat Apollo Flame and now you have access to Tribe King, or if you get like a brothers of all these different types, and you tribe king, but I looked that up and that's not it either. So I'm just like, okay. So I don't know, but well, it exists, but the question is like, you have to take two brothers of the tribes you aren't. Ah, I see. Okay. Double tribe on and then tribe on the other version, then you can tribe king. Interesting. Okay. Huh. Interesting. I'll be curious what people think going forward to see how that stuff winds up working. But I mean, we'll see. We'll see if we can get that in there. But what was I gonna say? Yeah, if we just have to throw Tribe King in, then so be it. But yeah, we now have enough episodes to get us through until October 9th, more than a month from now. We have episodes up through part 32 recorded, and almost all of them have consistent forward progress. 10-second clear on Apollo Flame SP is impossible at Tribe King. Woof. Yeah, I believe that. I would believe that. So Tribe King just doubles your card power in general? Like, Jesus Christ. That's fucking nuts. Damn, holy shit. Well, so far it's been okay. Like I said, we're down to 8 bosses out of, I think it's 14 in the game. And we've got SP cards for a bunch of them and stuff. What do I have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And 2 of them are General Auriga and Apollo Flame. That's still neat. So we have 6 out of the non-post-game bosses, and then the 2 post-game bosses. And then yeah, we'll be and once we get those, we're down to the final 3 super bosses of the game. Only that's for 3 customs. Oh, so it's like oh shit, what the hell? Was it just the Star Force last time around? Did that only last 3 turns, or am I mixing that up with oh god, there were so many form changing things. I think Battle Network 6 had something that lasted for 3 turns. Was it the double oh god damn it. I was going to say double cross. That's not right. Cross form? I don't remember. I don't know. Double card power is... Yeah, I believe it. Yeah, that's the thing. If I'm trying to get through a boss fight quickly, especially if I'm going for SP, I need to be in there for essentially less than 3 custom things anyway. So it lasting only that long. Beast Out. That's the one. Thank you. Yes, that's what I was thinking of. Beast Out was great in Battle Network 6. That was a lot of fun to mess around with. We've also been in the post game for long enough that whenever we get around to those in the D-pad unpaused, we're going to now require at least 2 separate videos just for the post game of Star Force 2. That occurred to me last night and was like, oh, yep, okay, fair enough. But yeah, so that's where Mega Man's at. We've got the engines turning again. And the funny part, too, is the post-game for Mega Man for the non-Star Force stuff has been in such a holding pattern for a while. And now we've got, if we consider the 8-bit deathmatch chapters as, like, separate things in here, like, we got one thing in here that's going to be super short. The next one after that is going to be super short. The one after that is super short. The one after that is super short. Like, we've got, like, 4 or 5 super short games in a row, and then we've got one that might take a little while, and then another super short, shortish, short. Ironically, at this point, so I think we've only got one fullish sized game before we arrive at Azure Striker Gunvolt at long last. I think there's only, I guess there's 2 that are kind of full sized. I don't know much about the second one other than that it's a very, very popular thing. But like Azure Striker Gunvolt is actually going to be coming around relatively soon. My best guess is like or like right around the end of the year, more than likely. It depends how quickly we get through some of these things. Depends on, how much time is spent getting some of these video essays put together. But yeah, that'll be coming fairly quickly. This goes right there. Let me move that. There we go. And yeah, I need to do some cleanup on like the very end of this because there's a handful of ones that are like, oh, sometime in the future, such and such thing will be released, and like some of them are games that have since been released. Azure Striker Gunvolt 3 is on that list, for example. Lunar Lux is on the brink of like a full release as well. But then there's other stuff where it's like, oh, like Tekken Cross Street Fighter, a game that never came out. Great. I was talking with Jeff about that one earlier today, and that one's just kind of funny. Capcom was like, all right, or Capcom and Namco got together after Namco crossed Capcom. We're like, we're going to put out a crossover fighting game. Both of us. Capcom is going to make Street Fighter Cross Tekken, and Namco is going to make Tekken Cross Street Fighter. We're going to release them side by side. People will get a crossover game in both the Street Fighter and Tekken formats. It's going to be great. And it would have been great, and then Namco never made their half of it. So, whoops. Oh, my God. But yeah, so like we're gonna be once we get to Azure Striker Gunvolt, things will slow down a little bit in a good way. We'll be able to focus on some like good solid stuff. I should probably mark that one in red. There's one in here that I have in here that I'm like, oh, I may not actually be able to get my hands on that at this point, but that's okay. Yeah, so the hope is somewhere in the ballpark of the end of the year we'll be getting to Azure Striker Gunvolt. I don't have like a real good approximation of when, but I would love to be able to get there by the end of the year, but we'll see. There's a good chance it might be more. It could be more like January, February, depending on how those two like normal size games are going to be in there. New SNK versus Capcom. What was the last one we did for that? That was oh shit. It had a weird name. SVC Chaos, I think. That was the one. That'd be kind of neat. Be down for another one of those. It's always a good time. It seems like Capcom hasn't bothered with fighting games in a long ass time. Infinite was like they did Infinite 5 years ago, and prior to that, they hadn't done one since I guess Street Fighter Cross Tekken 5 years before. So like I guess they do one every 5 years at this point. So I don't know. Who knows? Maybe they're due. Maybe they're due for another one. But anyway, Mega Man going strong, pushing hard. Let's see. I guess this is worth kind of getting out in front of. We did record some videos for Kirby's Dream Buffet. I was expecting something slightly more substantial in terms of the game itself. Like this has to be and this isn't like a dig on the game. It's designed as an online party game. I totally get that. So this would probably be the least content. Not the least content. It has I guess zero. It has zero like single player or like story style progressive stuff. The most you can say is that you can do those level ups to get unlockable rewards. But there's no like story mode, there's no single player kind of thing. It's all like online multiplayer stuff. We didn't record a lot of it. We recorded a few episodes, and we definitely had some internet issues causing some trouble near the end of it. We may do a second batch now that the internet is fixed, but I don't want to make promises one way or the other. We have done a few, and again, like in the like 1-ish hour that we played it, we the only thing that we could realistically do is just play more of it, like more matches, but otherwise that's kind of it. Like there's not, as far as I can tell anyway, there's not like more to the game than that. It was fun, it was fine, but it ultimately kind of feels like a really elaborate Mario Party minigame. So I don't know that we're going to spend ultimately all that much time on it. It's probably going to be fairly quick in and out, and then that'll be it. I was hoping maybe there'd be like a single player campaign in that style, a little tilt and tumble style throwback thing. I don't know, but is okay. Especially given the fact that the like little roll goal thing in Forgotten Land seemed like essentially a prototype of the game. It both doesn't have gyro controls, which surprised the hell out of me, and it also doesn't have like a one player kind of thing going on, even like a really little one. So that's Kirby. Nightmare streams, like I mentioned, are starting up again on Tuesday, so we'll be doing that again. And then I guess after, once the Nightmare streams are over, it'll be the Kirby series will be going the way of the legendary Let's Play in terms of just going on hiatus until a new game comes out. Yeah, it's not bad. Kirby's Dream Buffet isn't bad at all. It's just like there's not a lot to it, you know. There's not a lot to sink your teeth into, so to speak. Sonic. We are coming down to the end of Sonic Origins. All that remains now is the boss rush. We did not record any this weekend, so there's not going to be any episodes for it. But next weekend we will record the remainder of the game, regardless of who's around. And then we'll be moving on from there. We will probably only have time for one game before Sonic Frontiers comes out on November 8th. So that game is going to be Sonic Rush Adventure on the Nintendo DS. We've already recorded a handful of episodes for that. So far, it's a really bizarre mix of Sonic Rush, Phantom Hourglass, and I don't know, like crafting resource management. I don't know how else to describe that. It's been interesting. It's not really what I expected in a lot of different directions at once, but at least the actual main gameplay has been fine. I think my biggest criticism for it thus far, I was gonna say like Minecraft, I guess, but it doesn't. I don't know. The biggest like for me so far is like that there's some stages that only exist. Like there's the actual like zone act level areas that you're used to from most Sonic games. And then there's like Secret Island 17 where you do stuff for a little while. And those are like a minute long, super short. So I have no clue how far we are in this game because there's like 3 or 4 different ways of at least estimating your progress through the game. And they're all at different points for us. So I'm just like, we'll play it till it's done. I know that there is like a final thing if you get all of the emeralds. But you know, we'll go from there. Mirage Islands from Hoenn. I'm trying to remember the Mirage Islands. Oh, that's the one where you do like missions, right? Where you go on like little missions and things. Yeah, kinda. I guess I could see that as a comparison. That's the one they also used that in the Ruby Sapphire demo, I think, right? Where you could come back once a day to do like little stuff before the game came out, I think. Assuming I'm not mixing that up. I might be mixing those up, but yeah, so that's where Sonic's at. The game comes out on November 8th, but that's I think a Tuesday. So expect to see episodes of that going up on is that a Tuesday? It is a Tuesday. So like expect to see episodes for that on the 14th. It's going to be a little bit of a wait there, but Breath of the Wild Shrines is probably a pretty good way of doing that. Yeah, because it's 120 shrines, and they're all like really generally pretty quick little things. Some of them are a little more involved than others. I would say that's pretty close. It would be like if you had to do Breath of the Wild Shrines and you could do them multiple times in order to get materials that you could then use for crafting purposes later. That's kind of what it winds up being. But we'll see. I liked Sonic Rush a decent amount. I think I liked Sonic Advance better than Sonic Rush ultimately. And I don't know how I'm feeling about Rush Adventure yet. I gotta see. It is kind of weird. It's very odd pace. Like pacing wise, it's very strange. But we'll see. We'll see how that one goes. And then yeah, we're more than likely going to at that point just wait until Sonic Frontiers comes out because I don't think we'll have enough time for another thing after that. I know that the not brand new Sonic games have been a little sluggish to come out lately. But once Sonic Frontiers is over, they're not going to make another new Sonic game for 3.5 years. So we've got all the time in the world to continue from there. Yeah, Sonic Rush Adventure. We got a lot. We've got a decent amount of sequels. Sonic Rush Adventure is the beginning of like our sequel chunk of the Supersonic Let's Play. We've got a bunch of them in a row. And then, I forgot there's one last. So I was like, yeah, and I think the next major thing is Sonic Unleashed, right? And it's like, oh no, that's right. We actually have a pit stop, an extended pit stop in the realm of BioWare's Sonic Chronicles: The Dark Brotherhood, which... if Star Force was not a thing for us anymore, like if we were done with that chapter entirely, I'd probably make Sonic Chronicles a weekend game just for the sake of not completely bringing everything to a halt. I promise that with Sonic Chronicles, we will push through that as much and as consistently as we possibly can once we get there. We will probably do our best to record a bunch of it ahead of time just to make sure that we can keep it running consistently, because if we don't, we'll never be done with it. How long is that game, actually? Let me I want to see this real quick. How long to beat is hilarious because the times are never accurate. They're all over the place. But hopefully we can at least get a vague idea here. According to How Long to Beat, Sonic Chronicles main story is roughly 15 and a half hours. So 60-ish episodes. Main plus extras is 20 and a half. Completionist is 28 and a half. Woof. I would really prefer to not spend more than 100 episodes on that, but... Oh, we got visual. Oh, no! We have dropped a handful of frames. It finally happened after an hour. We've dropped a couple. We've dropped approximately... Is that 16 seconds of frames? Yeah, it looks like it. Though it does... Oh, I can even see the point where it happened. About a minute ago. But we do seem to have picked it back up, so we're good there. But yeah, okay, cool. So there we go. That's what our dips normally look like at this point, is really quick little blips, and then we're back to it. We're still figuring that part out. If it stays this bad, we may have someone else come and take another look. But we may just stick with this at this point. So, Sonic, that's where that one's at. Pokemon. We have had our third face-off. The fourth chapter will continue probably next week, maybe the week after that. We're going to keep on pushing through. We're going to keep on going. I don't know how much I want to talk about that one just because I don't, we just put up the face-off yesterday, and so I don't necessarily know that I want to spoil it for anyone who hasn't caught up with that yet. I don't know. Essentially, if anyone in here, if anyone that's watching right now has not seen the face-off and wants to not have it be spoiled, this would probably be a good time to say something. I don't know that I'm going to go ahead and spoil it, but at the very least, if someone says, please don't spoil it, then we can just move on from that. But yeah. Yeah, I mean, I could understand that. It less so at the time, but during editing, I was like, there's a part of me that I could have just gone with, having been like, oh, you made your choice, you got to go with it. But I don't know. It's not like it's a pride thing for me, but there's a certain level of well, I don't want to win on stupid ass technicalities of that. I'd rather win over a close fought match, or one where I'm outpacing or outthinking John on certain tactical decisions that are being made. But yeah, I'm going to be very curious what happens there, because I saw right before John went to the gym, he circled around to Route 212, and I mistakenly said, oh, you've already been here. But he hadn't already been there. I had been there, because in the previous chapter, I poked my way down the opposite side of it and then went back up and went along the kind of general intended path. So he has essentially 2/3 of one route of trainers between him and the next two gyms. So I don't know what's going to happen there, but I know that I am going to fight every trainer, and I'm going to try to make a catch on every route. I don't think I'm going to need to grind in order to keep pace or catch back up level-wise, but yeah, the Aurasphere thing was that was a little bit surprising. Aurasphere is great. Shell Smash is he's never going to use that move. Shell Smash is it's such a dangerous move to use, because you need to be able to stand there for a hit, not die once you've dramatically dropped a bunch of your stats, and then start pummeling away on them. But I don't know, it's just enough setup that I don't think he's going to use it. Aurasphere is great. The Whirlwind and Roar moves in combination with Stealth Rock are a pain in the ass. But I know Defog is coming, so that'll help. Then we'll see how those go. I'm trying to remember, does Whirlwind also get rid of spikes and things, or no? I know Rapid Spin does. The funny part is just it's like a nuclear deterrent. The threat of Stealth Rock is continuing to define the moves that he keeps on his Pokemon, where I'm gonna set him up where he basically doesn't have a reason to ever like get to use those. So, it's true. I did come in with 6 Pokemon, which was the advantage. Um, yeah, I was hoping. So there was some chatter too about the choice to switch on the Mulligan match to switch from Natalie, the Crobat, over to George Dude, the Golem. And I think people more or less figured out what my strategy was kind of going to be, which was if I could get Rollout moving quickly, then it would become a beast of an attack. I was hoping that I could get Quick Claw to fire against Blastoise because I feel like, because what was it? I think that would have been my 4th attack with it. So that would have been, or it was either my 3rd or 4th. So it would have been either a power 120 or 240 with Stab against Blastoise. Might have been enough to take out Blastoise. And if that was the case, that match is way more mine than it was before. Because then he doesn't have Blastoise as a threat on the water side of things. Monferno's not weak to rock, though, because fighting. It's true. Like a ground move would ultimately be a better call for those, but it was mostly just a matter of if I can get this train rolling, I'm not going to have an easy chance with it anywhere else. I guess he did have fighting moves on it too, so like maybe Natalie with Cross Poison was the better call to stick with. It did rely on me poisoning the Monferno on that first attack though, which may not have necessarily happened if I tried it again. There's a bug that's like hanging out right in front of my face, and now it's gone. Of course, that's fine. So yeah, maybe Natalie might have been a good call. Pluck may have been a one shot. I think if I got the poison off in particular, I would have gone for it. But yeah, it was on the 4th turn rollers. Yeah, and also too, there was the hope that I could set myself up in a spot where I could get Stealth Rock out. Maybe there were a lot of like little bits and pieces that could have been done better at the beginning. I wasted Alakazam on just kind of a dumb thought as far as Shockwave. I should have gone with Pete Rose right away, especially because Blastoise is also huge and beefy, so Grassnot probably would have one-shotted him. Machamp, though granted, Shelby did a pretty fucking good job coming out clutch near the end. The biggest thing right at the end was I used Assurance because I was expecting Staraptor to do something, but not enough to kill Shelby. And Assurance would have almost certainly killed Staraptor at that point. However, he went with Whirlwind, which was a reduced priority, so Assurance did less than Pluck? No, Drill Pack. I had Drill Pack as an option too. Drill Pack would have done more ultimately, and might have been enough of a difference to end the thing. So, and yeah, I can buy Thunderbolt. I think I bought Ice Beam. I bought one of the elemental things. I don't know where. Did I not put it on? I thought I put it on somebody. I may not have. I thought I did. Or did I? No, I think I bought Ice Beam and then realized that no one could actually learn it on the team currently or something along those lines. I think that's how that went. But regardless, so now John's going first, and he's got no one to work with at this point. Like he's gonna have two choices. He either goes directly to Maylene. Actually, no, that's basically all he's got. His next thing, he either goes directly to Maylene or he goes up Route 212, finishes those trainers, then goes to fight Maylene, and then I finish the loop myself to go and do Crasher Wake. Either way, I'm definitely going to be leveling up more in this next segment anyway. And I'm also very curious what's going to happen when we hit that level 50 cap. I haven't gone back and done the actual hard math on it yet, but I'm reasonably sure that John has not beaten me when he hasn't had a pretty decent, when he hasn't had some kind of level advantage. I think when we've been nearly even or even, he has lost just about all of those matches. So we'll have to see how that goes, and I'll have to think up some smart counters to stuff like Whirlwind and Roar, and I may just have to essentially okay, when Monferno's out, I need to speedily kill it in one hit or figure out who needs to come in instead. And when Staraptor and Houndoom are out, essentially just go for big hits since they're probably going to be reduced priority anyway. So those are my thoughts. I don't know. We'll see. And again, yeah, we're going to have that level 50 cap, which is going to, I think, change the shape of the padlock in general. So, yep, I'm going to get you set up with that as soon as we're done here. And hello to Dave. Let's see, what else? Legends Arceus, we haven't gotten any more of that. Isle of Armor, we haven't gotten any more of that. We do have one episode of Legends Arceus that has not gone up. But it felt weird putting up a single episode and then letting the rest of the week go. So we're going to hang on to that until we have more, and then we'll start putting up more of those. What else? Resident Evil. We have like 2.5 weeks of those recorded. Hooray. The first week or so is like slightly better internet, and then after midway through next week, the internet is way better for those, so the video looks a lot better, and it'll be a lot better to watch and sit through and see what's going on as well. So that'll be good. Yeah, Dave did a shitload of recording with me. Was that this weekend? No, that was last weekend. But there was enough prep going on for like live stuff that we're like, all right, we're gonna hold that one off for a week so that can be prepared properly. What else? I talking about Kirby. Twitch. Neverwinter Nights continues. Dave is going to be doing Cult of the Lamb on Mondays, so that'll be good there too. I'm going back to my Nightmare and the Dreamy Let's Play streams starting Tuesdays and Thursdays. Next Thursday, the 15th is probably going to be not Kirby, and we'll see when we get there. I believe Jeff is still planning on doing Nintendo streams. Getting closer-ish, figuring out more stuff-ish, and, we will see how those ones go. And then the next Patreon stream is going to be on September 30th, a Friday, and all should be well there. Figuring out some stuff in terms of Extra Life in November. Got to figure things out based on the date, what kind of stuff we want to do for that. Still a little ways out, nothing official to report in that realm just yet. Kingdom Hearts. We will hopefully be back to within the next 2 weeks. We do have one episode that's already been recorded and edited and uploaded. It's just not public yet because I wanted to put up 2 in a weekend and not just kind of leave it hanging. And I think that's it. I think that's everything on the thing. Been busy. Been keeping myself busy. Yeah, nice. I guess I could talk about D-Pad Unpaused a little bit. That's been an interesting experiment thus far. It like there's no like grand plan for it per se. Like it's not like, oh, I'm gonna do this and then like the only other thing that was a possibility is if we wind up in a place by the time like D-Pad Unpaused is caught up, which is years from now, like. If we put up a new video every day for D-Pad Unpaused, which is the goal, and we've been keeping to it so far, then we will have new videos going up for at least the next, 2 or 3 years, which is great. It's great to be able to kind of revive some of these old series. It's great to bring some new attention to them. I think it'll be great to kind of walk down memory lane a little bit. Like the legendary Let's Play is going to be reborn in D-Pad Unpaused next Friday, this coming Friday, the 9th. And literally like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 15 of the next 16 days following that are all legendary Let's Play videos. It does get less over time when Pokemon Rivals kicks in and the Mega Let's Play kick in and all of that stuff, but it'll be very cool to kind of go walk down memory lane. I've been doing some little tiny tweaks on some of them to try to like lightly remaster it a little bit. Some overlays have been cleaned up. I think the intros and outros have been cleaned up or switched out for something different, just to kind of make them be more in line with like where the channel is now and the stuff that we do with those now. And some branding has been switched around too, because back when we got started, up until the very beginning of the Legendary Let's Play, we had the D-Pad logo, but we also had 2-Bit Pictures logo, which was the name of kind of our little like filmmaking, thing that we did. We haven't done it lately, but it does still sort of exist. And Unregular Radio, which we were a part of back in 2012 and 2013, but we haven't been involved with them. They don't exist anymore. It became Dig Boston or Dig Radio Boston, and then I don't even know if Dig Radio Boston exists anymore. But we haven't been involved with that in like 8-9 years. So I wanted to switch those out. Give it a sec. We should be back in shortly. It does seem like we're pulling back up. There we go. Graph jumping a bunch. I have my Ethernet performance chart in here. It looks like we might be back in. Okay, there we go. Yeah, that was interesting. For the Patreon Hangouts, what I should have done was put this Ethernet thing up on the screen and just had it in the corner so you guys could see what my Ethernet has been looking like during all of this. But yes, welcome back. I'm still trying to figure out what I want to call portioned out chunks of these things. Like Fire Red is going to have 4 videos. It's got one for parts 1 through 45, which is essentially up through the first 4 gyms. And then it has a section for parts 46 to 75, which was through the 5th and 6th gyms, which then stops as of when that series went on hiatus for like 3 years. It's going to have one from 76 through 105, which is essentially the 7th, 8th gyms, the Sevi Islands, and the Elite Four. And then it's going to be the post game is going to be its own thing because it's too big to fit on the end of the other one. So like I'm just trying to figure out like what I'm going to do for those. I might call it part 1. I might call it chapter 1. Other Pokemon Rivals ones are going to be chapters. Like so Pokemon X and Y comes up after that, and it'll be chapter 1, which is everything up through the first gym and then first face off. And I thought about combining stuff a bit, but for that one where it's so segmented anyway, and some of the individual chapters are also like 9 to 10 hours long, it just makes sense for Pokemon to have them as separate videos like that. And those will be probably the weirdest sized things overall. Yeah, book would be a fun one. If it like that one, like, you know, if we were doing Avatar stuff or if we were doing more Wonder Boy things, that would make sense. I actually have the 4 games of the Wondrous Let's Play already edited into full-length versions and exported and uploaded, and they'll just sit on that dashboard for like, 2-3 years until it's time to post them. I've already put the post game up too. Some of these have been interesting. For Fire Red, I had to reverse engineer because I didn't have the raw footage for that game anymore. I had to reverse engineer how I did frame by frame the screen kind of doing so like you have the whole game screen and then it goes up into the corner, like shrinking down. I had to go frame by frame and redo that and then invert it, like the reciprocal of everything that was going on so that it looked like it was staying in place. It came out okay. It only happens in the interim between a handful of the episodes, and I don't think it'll be a big problem. But yeah, I don't know. It might be part 1. It might be chapter 1. It might be section 1 or segment 1. Segment 1, I think, is part 1 or segment 1 are the two that I think are out front the most for ones where there's not like hard delineated chapters. The alternative is just saying parts 1 through 45. But that also feels a little weird. I don't know. I got to think about it. I got another day and a half to figure it out. And then, yeah, it'll have to go up after that. But yeah, for Zelda, for starting that point forward, I have all of the raw footage of just about everything. There'll be a very small number of things after that where I don't have access to the raw footage anymore. And I've already pulled in, so when we started the Legendary Let's Play, when we did Zelda 1 on the NES, there was some weird quirk that happened where when we recorded the game and I pulled in the gameplay footage into Premiere, the M2TS file acted strange. Essentially, it would play like the video portion of the file was just fine, played at normal speed, all of these things. The audio portion, anytime there was complete silence, it just stopped. It essentially like stopped counting the audio and then jumped immediately to the next point where there was sound. So anytime there was like no music, it would just jump forward. And the video was just fine. But it meant that if I walked downstairs, it'd be like do 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 do, like it's supposed to. Normally it's like a do 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 do, like that kind of pause. Instead it'd be like like all of it was cut out. So it meant that for every time there was silence, I had to chop the audio and manually move it into place somewhere that would make sense. It was a huge fucking mess. And it was the biggest pain in the ass to edit. Fortunately, the files here in 2022, I have been I pulled them back in. I literally opened the old project files and reloaded the video files into them, and it works fine. So some of these videos are actually just going to be outright better than they were the first time around. So that's funny. I'll have to remember. I'm not planning on doing any, like, I'm not going to sit through old videos and re-edit them all the way through. Most of these are just going to be put them in place, make sure there's no, like, extremely loud or quiet things going on, and then, be on our way. In some cases, I might scrub through them just to make sure that if there's anything that I did stuff with, that it still makes sense. If there's any, like, there have been a couple times where I've bleeped out spoilers for things, like famously during the Sky dungeon in Twilight Princess, I bleeped out a bunch of CJ talking about the Mega Let's Play because it hadn't come out yet. I'll probably remove the bleeps from that just because it doesn't make sense anymore. There's also the Shyster conversation that I completely misunderstood when we were in Kakariko Town, I think, Kakariko Village. Also in Twilight Princess, so that'll probably be something that gets unbleeped as well, just because it is much funnier after the fact now. But yeah, it's been an interesting experiment. I can't give us a custom URL yet. I can't monetize it yet. I can't do custom URL until the channel's at least a month old. So sometime near the end of September, we'll hopefully be able to get like youtube.com/dpad unpaused or something like that. And monetization would be nice, but honestly, these videos aren't going to I'm not expecting these videos to do gangbusters. They're more there as like an alternative resource that folks can check out, an easy way to binge watch stuff without having to constantly be clicking between stuff. If people have people don't have ad blockers, they don't have to sit through, random ads if they're trying to get stuff done and they're just like listening to a bunch of videos in a row. Things that are not going to wind up on there, definitively, reviews and video essays are not going to wind up on the Unpaused channel. Partly because, the whole point for Unpaused is to do the uncut, Let's Plays, essentially. Also, putting up video essays specifically, runs the risk of splitting the audience between the two channels for the exact same content. For the one that obviously comes to mind first would be Michael Jackson's Sonic the Hedgehog 3. And I'm like, it feels like a bad call to try to upload that to a side channel when it already exists on the main channel. Like, there's no reason that I would want to have duplicates of that. It's up over 820,000 views. I would prefer not to divert attention to a brand new version that is exactly the same as the old one. So video essays are not going to wind up on there. Ooh, I think we're dropping some more frames. I just watched the Ethernet dip for a quick second there. So yeah, no on the video essays. What else? There's been a couple minor meme style videos Friday, but every time they say Friday it gets faster, or we don't talk about Bruno, but every time they say no, it gets faster. Stuff like that isn't going to wind up on there. It's all going to be Let's Play content specifically. Yeah, I guess that's kind of it. Patreon Hangouts aren't going to wind up on there. Reaction videos will not wind up on there either. The one thing that I'm on the fence for, and I'm still kind of thinking this one through, is I don't think D-Pad and Chill is going to wind up on there because I was thinking what if I did Mega Man Fully Charged, D-Pad and Chill, but I stitched them together as one big video. One, that'd be a copyright nightmare. And, you know, generally speaking, WildBrain has been pretty good to us, so I don't want to, like, piss them off. And going through all that a second time would definitely be a little bit tricky on that regard. Also, again, it diverts attention from, like, the actual versions that I want getting, you know, those views when they can. I don't know. Not like the regular videos don't also deserve it, but, like, do I care if Mega Man Fully Charged Finale's D-pad and chill video gets views? Yeah, it kind of would be nice if that got more views. Do I care if the Wind Waker episode 14 gets views? It's been almost 9 years, so not so much. So yeah, I don't know. I think we're sticking with Let's Plays. I think we're sticking with that content. The live intros, those will still be included. I debated whether or not to have those not be a thing, but I think that they will. There's like 99% chance that the live intros will still be there, as opposed to alternatively like cutting in as the video comes up and then just going from there. I don't know. That one I'm a little bit... Yeah, exactly. There'll be copyright issues out the ass for that. For the videos that have live intros, yeah, it's kind of the question as to whether or not I have the live intro bit versus I do whatever the normal intro for that series would be, like the Supersonic. I'd have to tweak, for example, the Supersonic Let's Play intro if I wanted to do a long play version of Sonic 2 from the Supersonic Let's Play, but without the live intro that went with it. I'd have to tweak it because there's no title for it. It's just the whole set of those. But I don't know. We'll see. I have to still think about some of those. I have about 2 months before it matters. Mega Man looks like it's going to be going up on November 11th of this year. So I have about 2 months to decide how I want to handle live intros. Because I think the closest we come outside of that is the 12 Games of Christmas will probably have the Ouya unboxing. I don't know on that one. That one's also kind of up in the air a little bit. After that, yeah, I think everything else is pretty straightforward until we get to Mega Man. Yeah. But yeah, so I think that's it for me for tonight. I'm going to sign off so I can get a little bit more done before I turn in for the night. I know that this was kind of a pain this month. We had those internet issues. Literally, last Friday, I logged on. The internet was acting fine all day. And as I went to go I started, in fact, the stream on YouTube. And then all of a sudden it was like, yeah, boom, no frames. It was a mess. I then spent another 3 hours after tweeting out that I wasn't streaming anything that night. Oh, yeah, no, sorry, that's right. It was bad that Friday. That was the Tuesday afterwards where I was trying to get it up on there, and it wasn't working. And then I tweeted out that I wasn't going to stream, and then I spent another 3 hours trying to diagnose what the fuck was going on. So it's been kind of a rough go in August, but it seems like that's finally over. I hope it's finally over. And yeah, looking forward to having more stuff coming out, getting back into streaming, having another one of these on September 30th. If anybody's watching this in the VODs after the fact, you can head to patreon.com/dpadfm to see how to chill and do this stuff. It'll be a good time. Thank you guys very much for your patience. It really does mean a lot to me. It's been tricky. And especially I've got a new job, so trying to figure that out, trying to figure out internet issues while also settling into a new job is not the ideal situation to be in. So yeah, we're doing the best we can with it. We're trying to keep the content flowing and some interesting new stuff coming your way. We have some new things coming before the end of the year. Yeah, I'll do it. I appreciate that too. We're doing our best. We got some new stuff coming soon. I don't know if we have any. We definitely have at least one more piece of merch that's going to be coming before the end of the year. And we've probably got a few projects that'll be coming up before the end of the year also. I can think of 3 off the top of my head. So yeah, I'll catch you guys later. Have a good one. Thank you for being there. D-pad on pause to go check that stuff out, and I'll catch you guys next time. Have a good one. Bye.